So I want to talk to you guys about some common mistakes I see people making when they're haltering a horse, and there's really nothing that's wrong and nothing that's right. There's really no right way or wrong way to do things. There are just certain outcomes that come from doing things in different ways. And if you want to catch a horse, put a halter on it, doesn't matter how you put the halter on, you've got the halter on. But you may be getting some benefits out of it, or you may be making some problems for later on. And it's a bit like, let's say it's mid-morning, you're a little bit hungry and you want to have you want to solve this problem of this little hunger spot in your belly. You could eat something really not good for you, something completely unhealthy, and the little bit of hunger goes away, but now your blood sugar's high or whatever. Whereas let's say if you were a little hungry and you chose to eat a banana, okay? So you eat the banana, that little hungry thing goes away. You got some magnesium, okay? You got some potassium, Potassium I think is what bananas are really good for. You got some fiber, okay? There's antioxidants that are good for your heart health. So just the simple act of satisfying a slight bit of hunger can have a bigger effect. And it's the same thing with catching horses. And I recently saw someone catch a horse, and they did a lot of things that I would consider wrong, and I'm going to show you what those things were. I'm going to talk about why I think they're wrong. So just come over here and we'll catch Bundy. And I'm going to do it wrong first. So the person had their lead rope all screwed up like this. Now, this might not seem like it's relative to anything, but I'll show you in a minute why it is. And then what they did, hey Bundles, how's it going? You munching on your breakfast? What they did was they got the halter like this, and they came under here and they put the halter on like this. Now, something that some people complain about is when I put the halter on, my horse sticks his head in the air. When you come under here, you are pushing their head up, and you're also pushing, probably pushing it away. But I'm just going to put the halter on poor little Bundy here, like this person did. Then they flip this thing up here and whack him in the eyeball. But the next bit here is completely relative to a lot of stuff. So I've got this lead rope wrapped up in my hand here, and you might notice already I'm pulling on his head. And then I'm going to unravel this, and while I'm doing it, I'm pulling on his head. And what you're doing is wearing out the communication between your hand and their head, which is basically the communication you need if you're out trail riding and your horse bolts. When 3 kangaroos jump out of the bushes and you pick up on the reins, that's the same thing right there, okay? So there's a couple of parts to that. Is one, the way you put the halter on can make it easy for them to stick their head in there. I just recently released a book called The Principles of Training, and one of the principles is make the wrong thing hard and the right thing easy. If you come along here and come under here to put your horse's halter on, you're making it very easy for them to stick their head in the air. Okay, so now I'm going to do it correctly. You have a little bit of munch there, mister. So what I would like to do is have my lead rope. So before I even come out here, I get my lead rope and I fold it in half, and I'm going to put it over my elbow like that. Okay, I'm going to have the halter undone, both in my left hand. And when I go to put the halter on, I'm going to reach over here, put this under here. Right now, it would be very easy for him to put his head down and very difficult for him to put it up. So I'm making the head up thing hard and the right thing easy. Then I would just scoop that halter right there, do it up. Okay, there's no flipping the top over and whacking him in the eyeball. And then when I go to walk somewhere, I just have to grab this lead rope, and there still has been no pressure on this lead rope. I'm not wearing that bit out. And so there's that part. But then the person who I observed putting the halter on like that, a couple of days later told me that they'd had a traumatic brain injury while catching a horse because the horse spooked and swung its head around and whacked him in the head. If you put the halter on like this, there is no protection between your skull and their big bony skull. If I put the halter on like this, if his head was to come this way, it would hit me in the arm and the armpit and push me out of the way. But his head can't actually get to my head right now because he would hit in there. And so, the whole haltering thing might not be a big deal. And when I saw this person put the halter on, what I would call incorrectly, I didn't really comment on it first day, but then when they told me that they suffered a traumatic brain injury from putting a halter on a horse, I said, okay, we have to have the haltering conversation. And so it could be something as simple as not wearing out the feel of your horse on this lead rope. It could be something as simple as encouraging them to lower their head instead of encouraging them to stick their head in the air. But it could be something as life-threatening as avoiding a traumatic brain injury when putting a halter on a young horse. So there's a, thanks bundles. So there's a lot, there's a lot to that. And like I said, it's a little bit like eating a banana. You eat that banana, you are creating a lot of benefits as well as solving the problem that you initially had. And with the banana, with the snack, it's I've got a little hunger in my tummy. There's that problem I want to solve. What I don't want to do is solve the problem, i.e. catch the horse, and create other issues that are are not going to be beneficial later on. One of them being the feel of this rope, one of them being teaching my horse to lower his head rather than stick it in the air, but the other one might be avoiding a traumatic brain injury.